Hey guys, Mike here, Fats Garage. We're back on the El Cheapo 5.3 here that's got the knock. Honestly, when I listened to it, it sounded like it was coming from up here. Honestly, it sounds like it was coming from underneath the timing chain cover. But I don't know if it's a rod knock on number 1 or number 2, or if it's in the valve train. It sounded a little fast to be in the valve train. The cam's spinning, half the speed of your crank. I don't know. It sounded a little fast. What would you guys do? You guys let me know in the comments what you're going to do. What I think I'm going to do is go ahead and pull all the plugs out of it. And we'll spin it over, do a compression test, then we'll pull the valve covers off if we don't see nothing obvious with a compression test. So right here, guys, I'm just pulling everything apart, pulling the plugs out of it, plug wires, and we're going to do a compression test. Any other 5.3 that I've had, typical compression, cranking compression was like 170, 175 PSI. So let's just see what this one has, and we'll go from there. Pulling all the plugs out just to make it easier to spin over. And put your compression tester in. Screw it in the spark plug hole. Here we go. So we're on cylinder number 8. Cranking it over. It's kind of hard to see the gauge. It's right at 150 PSI. It's going to be the same thing here with number 6. Right at 150, 55, which I think is a little bit low. Like I said, I'm used to 175 with these 5.3s with the dish pistons. And again, number 4, 150-ish. Number 2, I believe that was like 145. Let's go to the other side. I believe at this point I realized my battery's going dead, so I put a battery charger on it. You know, stupid me, the night before I could have charged it. And here on number 1, we only had about 130 PSI. So I knew there was a problem there. Everything else was pretty much 150, 45, 50, 55. And my battery went dead by the time we got to number 7 here. Got just a little bit out of it. And it was pretty much 150. So I'm thinking about that one cylinder, wondering, well, maybe we got a valve or something hanging open. Because the guy that sold it to me told me that it was a valve train noise, which, you know, you're not going to say, yeah, it's a rod knock or it needs main bearings or rod bearings, because most people don't want to do that. But so I just go through here. I'm turning the engine over, trying to get the cam on the heel so I can check the push rod length on number 2 cylinder there. You know, the Richard Holder method, the 2-finger and a half a turn to a turn and a half to check the how much preload you have on your lifters. And all of these pretty much were like at a turn and a half. One of them was just a touch over, maybe a turn and 5/8, which I didn't think was terrible. So I'd take a couple push rods out and measure them. They should be factory push rods at 7.4 inches. And these were measuring 7.3, 90, 92. So they were right in there. You know, they get a little bit of wear on them, and they get just a touch shorter after miles. I have no idea how many miles are on this one. I go ahead and check another cylinder here and determine really I don't have any problem with the preload on the lifters. I don't think there's any slop. None of the rockers were loose just by wiggling them when you put that cylinder on the heel of the cam. So it felt pretty normal to me. So before I'd done the other side, check the other rockers, I went ahead and I wanted to pull this timing cover off. So I used my homemade balancer tool there, balancer removal tool, and just a junk bolt I had to shove up around the crank so I'm not pushing on the crank. Had a couple washers on it, so I got my big Milwaukee impact and going to run the bolt on my balancer tool up against that bolt I put in there, that makeshift bolt. Now I realized I needed a spacer of some sort, so I had a socket there shoved on there to end up pressing it the rest of the way off. I know them tools are cheap, a balancer remover, but I'm half hillbilly and I enjoy making stuff, and when I can make it and it works, it's cool. So that thing works pretty good. So we'll go ahead and pull this timing cover off. And as of with the rest of the motor, it's pretty clean in there. Don't really see anything obviously wrong. I went ahead and checked the timing marks, made sure everything was lined up. And as I turn this engine over, I noticed there's a spot in there that just feels a little bit weird, like something's just catching just ever so slightly. And at first I thought maybe it has a chain binding up or something, because if you ever have a chain that's got like a rusty link or something, and sometimes it binds up and doesn't want to move. That's kind of what it felt like, but that chain looked brand new, guys. Everything in this engine looked really good. All the valve train rockers, lifters, everything looked really nice and clean. Like I said, I don't know how many miles were on it, but if there was any amount of miles, someone had changed oil in this engine pretty regularly, took care of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this other valve cover off, check some of these rockers. Just kind of checking the preload on the lifters. Make sure I don't have a ton of valve lash, which I don't find anything over here either. Pretty much the same as the other side, about a turn and a half of preload. Yeah, it's just kind of a ballpark thing to do, to check your lifter preload or your push rod length. So I decided I don't have any problems. I'm just going to go ahead and remove them. And tear this thing down a little further. Next thing I wanted to look at was the lifters. And judging by the rest of the stuff, I really didn't think I was going to have a problem with the lifters. And I didn't. Got all the push rods out of there. Got the manifold off. You guys didn't want to watch that. Got the intake off, carburetor. I'm going to go ahead and pull this head off. And the head gasket was on the right way. I've seen people do that before. It said front on the front. Pulled the lifters out. They weren't stuck in there, actually the lifter trays were holding them pretty good still. They pulled right out, just needed something to get in there and grab them. But they looked really nice. It's actually the cleanest LS I've ever torn down, besides the 6-liter I had in the turbo truck. That thing came straight from the junkyard, and it was extremely clean. Lucked out on that one, but this is a $150 engine, so I'm not complaining one bit, because heck, you can sell the oil pan and the heads and rocker arms. You could piece it out and make a couple $100. So everything looked normal there. Cylinders and everything looked normal. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this head off. I get ready to pull it off, then I realize I forgot my valve, or my ground strap there on the back. I'm going to take that off real quick. Go ahead and pull this head off. This head gasket was on the right way. It came off with the head. Don't see a problem here so far. I'm going to go ahead and pull the lifters out. Besides me dropping 2 of them, they looked really nice. They were snug in the lifter trays. They weren't worn excessively. Everything looked good so far, guys. So, if you guys want to see what happens here and what was wrong with this thing, you're going to have to stay tuned for part 4. We're going to tear this short block down. And you guys will probably Some of you guys probably already know what it is, but you'll see. And this thing is a Gen 4 too, so it's got Gen 4 rods and stuff in it. I'll tell you that now. Good night.